was something very simple. You wanted to play music that moved you emotionally and also made you happy, with a good beat, and you wanted to just dance around to it as freely as you could and sing. And that was all you really wanted to do, was give a high energy show, and you felt that the other bands weren't giving their all, that they were more posy. You wanted to go out and give it all. And then somewhere along the line, when people resisted, rather than just have the grace to ignore them and keep going, you let them get your goat. And you began messing with hecklers, jumping into audiences, stabbing yourself to show pain, to show them, this is what you're doing to me, and doing all these things. And then you started taking drugs and just getting really out of hand. Why not just go out now and let's see, if you were really disciplined, how good a job you could just do of the pure thing itself. And that's what I meant. And that's what I've tried to do. I think it was evident. I don't know if Yuichiro saw my concerts in Tokyo here, but I think that's what I'm doing now. Now I just go out and I try to give a lot more. I hope a lot more in the way of forward energy than you can get in most other places, or I think anywhere when I go out and play. Just try to give it forward, and now if some problem does come up, I just try to ignore it. Whereas before, I got caught in the problems. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Like, people haven't reacted negatively by saying, "He's getting old, he's selling out."
No, they haven't. I thought they might, but they haven't. Not at all. On the contrary, the feeling in the halls have been just great. So I'm really pleased. I'm certainly sure. I could sense that the people that came to have the concerts with me this time, I think they went home much happier and more satisfied than the last time I was here in Tokyo, when I was still caught in my private drama.
I would imagine in this day and age of all this stage diving that people want to dive from your stage.
Yeah. Well, one kid did jump up, and I went in the audience in Osaka the first night. I had a little dive. A little dive now and again doesn't hurt. It's fun. It was fun. But it wasn't dangerous there because there were so many people. There was, nothing was going to happen. A little one.
You've got it
old time's sake. You know what I mean?
It's going about the artist and how he progresses with age. Of course, I'm sure a lot of people start out with a sort of urgency. It tends to begin to flag after a while, and his performances and his records become no more than, say, products, as opposed to urgent artistic statements. How about your own case? He notes that your approach it hasn't really lost a heck of a lot. How do you feel if you were to size it up objectively? And if it hasn't lost anything, why do you think you've been able to maintain that sort of passion?
I think you're bound to lose something. I try to keep it to a minimum. When I was 24 or 25, and I had no money, and I couldn't get a band together, and I couldn't get managed because the other guy had the contract, and Raw Power was selling for 39 cents in the bargain bin at Aaron Brothers. I still walked around the street. I didn't care. I said to myself, I'd go to this concert or that concert. I met Led Zeppelin when they had a whole floor of the Hyatt House. They were making millions of dollars gross every night. And I just say to myself, but I'm the real one. I'm the real one, not them. And I had that pride. That was all I had, but I had that pride. I don't think, to be honest, I don't think, I'm now 40, I don't think at this time that I would be capable, if I had to again, of being that far down, crashing on people's floors, getting money from girls. I don't think I'd be able to get that far down and survive. So there are things that I have done to maintain my survival. Just the fact of doing 6 interviews in one day is one of them. I'm doing 25 interviews while I'm here. I don't get a warm feeling at the end of a day of talking about myself all day. I don't feel like, wow, I was great today. You know what I mean? I feel like, ugh. But I do it. So what I try to do, but there's a nut. There's a nut thing, a hard thing in the middle that's exactly the same as still as when I was on the street and I just saw it on the real one. And that hasn't changed for me. It's still this urgent hope. It's a hope for me that someday, maybe in a couple years, I can get all the elements in place to where I don't have to kiss anybody's ass and I can do whatever I want, and then make some really great music. But there have been things I've done to ensure. Like to ensure that I make sure I get a record on the radio, for instance, so that people can hear it. I would get the kind of production I knew if I had David produce it, the record, that it would have a high sound quality this time, that everything would be super clear. I knew that using him, I'd be able to do it way away from the record company. So you had choices. I could have had I'd done some demos with Steve Jones. I could have said, okay, we'll make a rock and roll record. I could have gotten a company to give me a little money. They were already biting. And they would have given me some staff producer. And then they would have been in the studio. And then you're in trouble. Then they would have been there, yeah, well, Ig, maybe if you did it this way or something. And then, but with David, I knew also, David's going to want me to sing some ballads. I don't love ballads, but I can sing them. And sometimes they turn out good. So I made a choice rather than just total kamikaze, rather than just saying, I'm going to die for my art, here I go. I made a choice, and I figured out of the possibilities, I'll compromise, I'll sing a couple ballads. And besides, I ended up liking them, so it was okay. But the other thing I've done to maintain the urgency has to do with a whole lot of self-discipline. And that was where I'm lucky, is that I've had this one great area in which I can still improve my work. Because another reason, back when I used to do shows like after Funhouse or something, I wasn't in the shape then I am now. Now I make sure I get my rest. I don't waste my time chasing teenage girls around and then having to put up with getting them home and everything and dealing with their mothers and God knows what. I work much harder than I ever did, and I don't have drugs to slow me down. So because of that, I'm able to really put a lot more force into my show than compared to what I've got to work with than I did before. So I think that helps. But basically, it's just a matter of desire. I think it's just basically a matter of, I don't want to sound like I'm a saint, because I'm not, but I think there's a lot of performers who their idea when they got into music was, hey, I was singing in the bathroom the other day and I sounded kind of professional, and I'm real good looking, and I can make a song that sounds almost like a Motown song. I'm clever too. I'm 19 now. If I get in this and do really well, I could retire by the time I'm 25. I can marry that. I can marry a rich groupie who has her own money. We'll be set up. That's what they want. That's what they get. For me, I got into it because I wanted to be in music, and I loved it, and I wanted to make some myself. And basically, I just wanted to be involved. Even before I'm an artist, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of great guitarists, of great drummers. I'm a fan of when it's a great concert. I'm just a fan, and I want to be around it. I like hanging around rooms that have lots of cords and microphones dangling. I like roadies. I like to hang out with the roadies. I like this life, and this is what I want to do. So I think that's because of that motivation. It helps me still, basically in the middle, I got the right idea.